Hi Pisces, welcome back to your full moon in Leo reading for February 5th, 2023. Full moons close out cycles, and you have a karmic cycle closing out with the Justice as your theme for the next 2 weeks. Sometimes it can be 2 to 4, but depending depending on if it's good or bad, we'll we'll decide then, right? But with the Justice card, that's the point. If you want something good, you have to do something good. What you give is what you get. Cause and effect here is in play, but it's also balancing out the scales, finding balance and fairness. And I think that what you've given out will be noticeable in what you receive for the next 2 weeks. So let's see how that's playing out for you. Okay, you have the Three of Pentacles. This is my collaboration card. Maybe you're collaborating with an Aquarius because they just had this in their reading as well, but it doesn't have to be. This is the Apprentice card who has actually finished his study and he's on his first big job. So we have the Page of Swords with that. So this is clearing any doubts. It's finding information to clear those doubts, and it's sort of like the detective work. So if you are on a new trajectory or you've learned something and you're ready to put it into practice, you could be very busy with the details and maybe even putting it out there to ask people what they think about it. You could be doing a lot of research to see how it is, how something that you have just learned is put into practice with this card. It could be feedback and then tweaking things afterwards, because again, this Page of Swords is somebody who actively seeks out information to clear up anything that's a little bit foggy in his mind, that's a little bit cloudy in his mind. Okay? You have the Seven of Swords as how you're going to deal with this, and as did Aquarius, actually. So that's very interesting. It's what's going on behind the scenes. It can be open enemies, so you do want to be careful, and maybe not, because if there were any people that were trying to deceive you or were deceptive in any way, justice is coming. So be on your best behavior, because karma's quick with this card. If you do something wrong, you'll know immediately. If you do something right, you'll also know. So be careful, be aware. But this is something that's going on behind the scenes. Hopefully it's good. It looks kind of work-related with that Three of Pentacles, but let's see. You have the Hierophant. Oh, okay. These are organizations, higher-ups, schools. Maybe you just finished the school and you're taking what you've learned and leaving it. It is governments. It is big business. It could be big pharma. So hopefully justice comes to them, meaning karma. It can be marriage. It's institutes, big, small, but they're institutes. They're established. And this could be also that you want to establish yourself, establish what you've learned. You want to establish this feeling of, I've learned it already, so let's get on with the show. And the result? The Hierophant isn't my favorite card because it is so steeped in tradition or staunch. You don't get all the information with the Hierophant. You have to ask permission, or you have to go through steps to become a priest. You can't just be a priest and call yourself a priest. And even if you have to be ordained. You have to learn a lot of things. You have to know your P's and Q's. It's just that kind of deeply established energy. And I think maybe, I don't know if every Pisces has difficulty with this, but Pisces very much has the ability to jump into something a little bit too quick, a little too over enthusiastic before they know every in and out of it. But of course, that's what you learn with experience. Okay, so starting off with this minor sort of task, or after you've learned something, you're going to start your next job. You don't want it to be the biggest. You're not going to erect a huge cathedral. You might want to start off with a little shed. That kind of energy, right? Okay, so then you have, as a result, the Four of Swords. So this is something in a planning stage, and this can also be a rest necessary. With this card, it says if you don't rest yourself, then the universe will help you. And trust me, you want to volunteer that rest as opposed to the universe helping you to do it, because otherwise the Ten of Swords could happen. Now, the Ten of Swords doesn't have to be a bad card. It depends on your perception. And so this is the card of endings. It's done. It's over. And hopefully that's the cycle, right? And the cycle here is of this kind of rest or planning stage. And as this is a full moon, we are closing out a cycle. And so it's telling me that we're actually now in a very active time, and what is leaving is this planning stage, but also this difficult mental stage. We're looking for peace, and he's even saying it here, right? His little two fingers are holding the peace sign. So this is about meditation. It is about finding quiet time and finding moments for peace. I'm pretty curious about the Seven of Swords and the Five, or the Hierophant, but let's first pull a clarifying card for the Three of Pentacles and the Page of Swords, which is, what are we closing out? Nice. Well, there's movement. So if you have been stagnant lately, or things haven't been happening, there's a real focus, and all of a sudden things start to move again, which makes perfect sense with the planets that are playing out right now. The ending of this 20-year cycle that's coming up, the entrance of Saturn into our sign, which is getting us to do things in the correct way. But there's a nice focus with the Eight of Wands, and there's also, with the Eight of Wands, communication. It's a very big communication card. 8 is an extremely powerful number. It can be used for good or evil, but it is a lot of power. So these three are communicating, right? And he's trying to figure out, okay, how do I best understand what's being communicated here? Okay? It's things in motion. They might still be up in the air, but they're moving, and that can't be bad. And they're moving swiftly, and that is a good thing. And so it can be very much that once we've figured it out, once we've understood the blueprint, or what it is these people are communicating to us, then we can go. Then it's go time. This is the card of moving on. It's moving on from difficult situations. It's moving on from things that we can't do much about, especially with that Hierophant card, because it's so steeped in tradition. It's so established that there's no wiggle room with it. And I think with the Six of Swords, we come to that firm understanding and we move on. And the nice thing is we're moving on from calmer waters. I'm sorry, we're moving on to calmer waters. We're moving away from maybe this Seven of Swords, this dodgy energy. Um, I do want to pull one for the Seven of Swords, though. That I just really has me curious. And I have the Seven of Pentacles. Interesting. What, okay, so this makes it clear for me. It is taking what is working and using it and establishing that and letting go of what isn't. So the Seven of Pentacles is editing, and it's also refinement. Um, and remember, we have justice here, so we're trying to balance out the scales a little bit. Seven's an interesting energy. It's a highly spiritual energy. But I do want to say, in this case, I really have the feeling that it is editing the things out that aren't necessary. He's reevaluating and reassessing his crops. What has he grown up until now? And while he's waiting for things to ripen, he can decide whether that's what he wants to keep planting or not. How am I going to make my next crop? Do I really love kale that much? Yes, I do, by the way. And, do I want to add maybe some different types of lettuces, or some carrots? It's that kind of thing, like editing and what do I want to add, what do I want to take away, which goes quite well with this Page of Swords as well here, because we're trying to figure it out. And we're doing it through this Three of Pentacles, through a blueprint. Do I like that blueprint? These people want me to do it this particular way. Is there a better way? Can I edit it somehow? It's that kind of energy. But whatever it is that we're editing, whatever it is that we are adding or taking away, we are certainly moving into calmer waters here. Now, what's interesting is the Hierophant is a 5, and 5 is instability. And 5 always pushes us to find balance, which is 6. And in this case, the balance is our taking the things that we've learned, no matter how difficult it was, because it came from a 5. 5, 6. 5 of Swords is a no-win situation. There was something that just didn't work, or it went wrong, or something went wrong within it. It's not the whole thing that went wrong. Maybe there were just particular things, right, that didn't suit or didn't work. And so we let those go. And that brings us to some emotional calm. It is, though, the idea, because, these are not the happiest cards. They're very contemplative. And so it can also be that we are resigning ourselves to that. That's the way it is. It isn't any different. Let's move on. Right? This is not a holiday. It's respite. Okay. And then you have a King of Wands here. This is an Aries card. And this is fantastic. This is a great energy that comes in, whether it's a human or you, another person or you. The King of Wands is about adventure. It's pioneering a new path. It is putting yourself out there. It is establishing your own establishment with the Hierophant there. It's establishing your own thing, your own laws for you, for your situation. And you can be very much in the planning phases of this, because the Four of Swords is physical rest, but mental planning. But the King of Wands is definitely, he goes. And he's really great at starting things. So there could be, and I'm feels to me, especially with that Ten of Swords, because the 10 is, again, the end of a situation while you are beginning something new. So the King of Wands is that new pioneering enthusiasm that really kind of like, okay, I'm going to do this now. I figured it out. I know what I want to edit. I know what I want to do. I'm doing it. I'm just doing it. I also want to say, because this little guy here is kind of coming towards me a little bit, that maybe something that was cut off before might find its way back in, or there could be some regrowth there. There could be some significant happenings around the time of April, so Aries season, which would be late March into April, or it could be around the time of the full moon in Aries. So do keep that in mind timing-wise. This looks positive. This is much better than the last readings that we've had. So I think this is quite positive. And remember, what's really important here is the Justice card. Because what you are putting out there, what you are giving, is what you will receive in kind. And it's about things finding their balance. What the Spirit wants you to know, wonderful. The Queen of Wands, one of my favorite cards, and they're a match. They're a match. So you could be behaving like a Queen of Wands, and this is a wonderful, wonderful energy. She is complete. So this is my Leo card. It's a solar card. It's your solar plexus, and that's your will, that's your drive, and that goes really nicely with the King of Wands. And the Queen of Wands is an attractive force, right? Because it's a female force. It's the yin energy, and yin attracts. It's like a magnetic pull. So you're magnetically pulling things into you, but you're also a solar force with this card. And in that, I mean the more masculine energy, the more yang energy, which is sending out that electrical impulse. What do I want? And then you draw it magnetically to you. Now, this could be somebody around you who wants to help you, but it doesn't matter. It's something that, it's a pulse that you put out there that you draw this person to you, the Queen of Wands. And she's going to be significant to this somehow, as will that energy of you. And remember, this is very much like the Justice card, because it is what you put out is what you will receive back. So mind your impulses. Mind what you are putting out there. And I think that's why the Four of Swords is really important here, because this is a mental meditation that moves molecules. It moves energy, and it tells that energy, and it forms that energy what to do, right? And so with the Queen of Wands, we are putting out that impulse, we're informing the universe what we want, and we are magnetically drawing it to us. And I think that's why the Queen of Wands is very often so successful, because she has that very nice, even, balanced, complete electromagnetic energy. Plus, it's, I think, one of the most beautiful cards in this particular deck. It's definitely one of my favorites. I'm always happy to see when it pops up. It's the Sun, and it's healing also, mind you, by the way, because it is associated with Leo. And so there's a very nice healing going on in this scenario. Everything seems to be finding its balance in the next 2 weeks, Pisces. Huzzah. I hope this has been helpful. It has helped me. I'm very grateful to the universe for this reading, to Great Spirit, and to the forces. I hope this has been helpful. I'll be back in 2 weeks with a new moon reading, and I do dailies. Thank you for listening. Be well.